Nigeria. This is News Central. I'm Felicity Ezewige. The top stories tonight. President Tinubu embarks on 10-day working vacation to France and the United Kingdom as part of his annual leave. Amnesty International calls on federal government to probe widespread killings and human rights violations in Nigeria's southeast. Jamaican Prime Minister secures third term in office after her Labour Party wins at least 34 seats in parliamentary election.
And in business, Intra-Africa Trade Fair generates cumulative $120 billion in trade and investment deals over its first 3 editions.
And in sports, Super Eagles stars appeal to Nigerian football fans for support as they make late push to secure qualification for the 2026 FIFA World Cup.
Welcome. Tonight begins now. Many thanks again for tuning in. We begin tonight in the presidential villa, from where President Bola Tinubu has again embarked on a foreign trip, this time a 10-day working vacation to France and the United Kingdom. In a statement on Thursday, Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ananuga, noted that the vacation is part of the President's annual leave. The President's latest foreign trips follows his 12-day diplomatic tour to Japan and Brazil, which included stopovers in Dubai and Los Angeles. Tinubu had departed Nigeria on August the 15th, stopped over in Dubai, UAE, and arrived in Yokohama, Japan on August the 18th. The President, while in the Asian country, attended the 9th Tokyo International Conference on African Development. Staying with the presidency, President Tinubu has announced that Nigeria's 2025 revenue target was reached ahead of schedule, driven primarily by non-oil earnings. The president also ruled out further borrowing from local banks, highlighting progress in stabilizing the economy despite ongoing external challenges. However, former presidential candidate Peter Obi of the Labour Party has responded to this announcement, emphasizing that increased revenue must translate into tangible improvements for Nigerian citizens. Obi pointed out that many Nigerians have yet to feel the effects of the claimed economic stability. Joining me now to discuss the implications of foreign trips by President Tinubu from Japan to Brazil and now to Europe is his Senior Special Assistant on Digital Engagement, Strategy and New Media, Otega Ogra. Okay, I understand that we just lost him again. We'll try and reconnect and have that conversation. But for now, let's tell you that conversations about equality and inclusion have taken center stage in Abuja as policymakers, development experts, business leaders, and civil society advocates from across Africa gather to tackle barriers affecting women, young people, persons with disabilities, and marginalized communities. News Central's correspondent Sumaya Abubakar reports.
From policymakers to civil society experts, voices at this summit agree that Nigeria cannot progress while large sections remain excluded. Gaps in education, healthcare and leadership continue to slow growth and deny millions the chance to contribute.
The reality is that gender inequality, social exclusion and poverty are not abstract issues. They manifest in everyday lives.
Women representation in leadership remains below expectation at a staggering 3.7%.
Young people are burdened by unemployment and underrepresentation, and the marginalized groups struggle with systemic exclusion.
Women work too much in the unpaid care economy. And if women remain on the unpaid care economy, they will always be poorer than men.
The call is for tangible solutions, stronger policies, safer communities, and deliberate action to guarantee the inclusion of women, youth, and marginalized groups.
We need to gather our own data. If we let people to continue to tell us that data, we'll never improve.
We believe that with gender-responsive planning and budgeting, resources can go to where it is needed. And so there can be a fair and equitable redistribution of resources.
We must innovate. We must deploy technology not only as a tool for economic growth, but as an enabler of inclusion.
We should not expect others to come and save us. No one is going to give us our power back. Because if we feel that they have it, then we must have given it to them.
Without inclusion, poverty reduction, health, education, climate resilience, and economic growth cannot be achieved.
The conversation here, the evidence generated, and the innovation presented will not end within these walls. They will directly inform our frameworks, our policies and programs.
Your voice is needed for us to collectively build a Nigeria where every one of us belongs.
For many voices here, inclusion is no longer up for debate, but now seen as a national necessity. The real test lies in how swiftly government and its institution can bridge the gaps and turn the promise of equality into reality. In Abuja, for News Central, Sumaya Abubakar.
Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Ola Olukoyede, has urged Nigerians to embrace transparency and accountability as part of efforts to curb corruption. The EFCC chairman spoke through his assistant commander and head of public affairs at the Benin Zonal Directorate of the Commission, Williams Osagali, at a conference sponsored by Tantita Security Services Nigeria Limited in Delta State. Olukoyede said Nigeria can only attain good governance when citizens play their roles with commitment to accountability and due process. He added that the country's socio-economic challenges are rooted in corruption and its effect. Anti-corruption campaigner and convener of Corruption Not in My Country, Akin Fadeyi, joins me now to discuss the corruption menace as a clog in the wheel of Nigeria's development. Thank you very much for being here. The EFCC chairman said quite a lot in a no-holds-barred tone, and chief of them perhaps was that Nigeria is still perceived as a hub of entrenched corruption. Is Nigeria's corruption situation today one of perception or factual reality?
All right, thank you very much for having me. Let me be sure that you can hear me clearly.
Yes, I can, please. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. All right, so that question is split into two parts, and this is how I'm going to approach it. On paper, let me bring out some data that I have. Nigeria is currently ranked among the world's, most 40 countries that are deemed corrupt on the Corruption Perception Index. Also, on the World Bank list of countries measured by their control of corruption, Nigeria ranks 35 from the bottom. Also, in the Unbundled Corruption Index, Nigeria ranks highly in all the 4 metrics of corruptions being considered. When you look at Africa, Nigeria ranks 33rd of overall governance out of 54 countries measured. And this was from the, Ibrahim Index of African Governance, IIAG. So you can begin to look at the various metrics that we've been measured against. It's not looking good. I was privy to, a sponsored study from Chatham House by the MacArthur Foundation, and I realized that Nigeria is struggling in fulfilling basic services for its country. Corruption has driven violence, it has driven protest. Corruption has driven immigration from the country. You have the Japa syndrome, and there's a whole lot of despondency, hopelessness amongst the youth. So, factual reality, I would say yes. When people don't have access to justice, if they have to bribe their way to get it, especially the poor, corruption is a factual reality. If people have to pay their way to access the basic duties, functions of law enforcement agents, corruption is their factual reality. But again, I'm never cynical. I don't indulge in iconoclasm. I think there are reasons to be hopeful. There are reasons to be happy. And that is the fact that we need to understand that corruption is a global epidemic. The United States was ranking, I think, 71 in 2012 on the Global Corruption Index. Now it is ranking 65. You could look around the world and see that many countries are dropping off that list. The list 10 corrupt countries in the world are Switzerland, Norway, Denmark, and what have you. So I do think that, yes, it's a factual reality, but at the same time, I do think that when we're looking at perception, there's something Honorable Tuji Alausa said just a while ago in another news. He said we need to begin to crunch our own data. What are the things that we're beginning to do right in this country? A lot of people have said they have easier access to, the renewal of their passports now. A lot of people from the diaspora said, listen, I sent it in, I got it back in 10 days. Right. So because there's been a reduction in human interaction, corruption probably has dropped there. So on both sides of the coin, there's a little bit of hope from optics, from factual reality. There's a little bit of sadness, but we need to keep working towards an egalitarian society.
All right, one curious thing, though. We have a case of the EFCC telling Nigerians the role they must play in the fight against corruption. But as the frontal agency in the anti-corruption war, are you satisfied with the agency's scorecard in 2 years under Olukoyede's term? Are they headed in the right direction? Okay,
I'm not Mr. Olukoyede's spokesperson, but I think I followed up on him consistently. I remember that my foundation sent him a letter over a year ago that we've spotted some gaps, some very begging gaps, through which we need to exercise or advocate for behavioral change on scam, romance scam, financial fraud, and what have you, through relatable messages. So I follow what they do. The EFCC said they've secured 3,455 convictions across all categories of financial crime in the country. The EFCC said they've recovered over 248 billion naira from funds that have been siphoned out of public space. In foreign currencies, the EFCC said, listen, we've gotten back over $105 million. Give me a second, I'm losing battery. Sorry. We've secured, this ton of amount of money. So when you look at this kind of scorecard, we could say they're headed in the right direction, especially because all these funds being recovered, they're putting it in public space. If you go to EFCC website, it's right there. If people have contrary opinions, they could also, take on the EFCC. Also,
yeah, some people have accused the agency of redefining economic and financial corruption to mean people spraying the naira and people involved in online fraud, when globally we have remained on the grey list of the Financial Action Task Force because high-profile cases are overlooked. Aren't we just dealing with surface issues here?
Yeah, seriously, I do not think Nigeria should be majoring in minor. I do not think our focus should be on people who are spraying money in their parties. While I do not encourage the decimation, of our naira, of our currency, I do think we should chase more high-profile cases more than that, because the truth is you cannot, it's a very hydra-headed issue. You cannot, ramp up everyone that sprays money at naira. I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube and I see people spray money, and I always ask myself, how many of this will you arrest? But again, there's something I noticed that is going on here. I think EFCC is just being strategic in its approach to fighting corruption. It's trying to look at bottom-up approach. That look, from amongst ourselves, let's begin to do the right things. If we value our currency, we should not decimate it. If we value our reputation as a nation, we should not be indulging in online fraud. I think EFCC is trying to say that you cannot have an accountable leadership if you don't have responsible followers. And because this fits into corruption not in my country, I'm aligned to that. About high-profile cases, I'm not going to spare EFCC. EFCC should go after public officials who are stealing money. But again, EFCC says to us that, listen, we've taken Yaya Bello to court, we've taken Hadi Sirika to court, we've taken Abdul Fattah Ahmed from Kwara to court. These were ex-governors, these were very influential Nigerians. Their cases are in front of different judges. And so the judiciary should step up, make a loud and bold statement to ensure that justice is done. If people have been, if public funds has been siphoned, because this is people's collective patrimony. So
indeed,
both ways,
Mr. Fade, sorry to interject, but we actually are out of time for this conversation. So I have to say thank you very much for giving us your time.
You're welcome.
Tonight returns after this very short break. Just stay with us. Let's go back to our topmost story tonight, that President Bola Tinubu has again embarked on a foreign trip, this time a 10-day working vacation to France and the United Kingdom. In a statement on Thursday, Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, noted that the vacation is part of the President's annual leave. The President's latest trip follows his 12-day diplomatic tour to Japan and Brazil, which included stopovers in Dubai and Los Angeles. Tinubu had departed Nigeria on August the 15th, stopped over in Dubai, UAE, and arrived in Yokohama, Japan, and on August the 18th. The President, while in the Asian country, attended the 9th Tokyo International Conference on African Development. Joining me now to discuss the implications of foreign trips by President Tinubu is his senior special assistant on digital engagement strategy and new media, Otega Ogra. Otega, thank you for being here tonight. The president is on another foreign trip, barely 2 weeks after he returned from a two-nation visit to Japan and Brazil. Isn't this another trip too many?
To clarify, the president is on his annual vacation, but is deemed it fit to also make it a working vacation for himself. He's entitled to his annual vacation every year as president of the country, and he's taking that.
Lately, President Tinubu has been quick to play up his lofty economic policies and reforms. Can you highlight some of the already noticeable gains of these policies as claimed by the president and his lieutenants?
I think these are not just mere claims. They're facts that are easily verifiable. They're facts on ground. We're seeing that in the return of, stability to our foreign exchange regime. We're seeing that in, more FAC being paid out to the states, meaning the states have more resources, to invest in education, to invest in healthcare, to invest in other areas of their own economies at the sub-regional level. We're seeing that in no longer having a cabal who were acting as middlemen to, cheat Nigerians using the fuel subsidy regime. We're seeing that in non-oil, the non-oil sector for the first time in Nigeria's history for a very long time now, being the major driver of government revenue. 20.59 trillion has been mobilized from January to August this year, up from about 40.5% in 2024. That is something that is commendable, and we're seeing that in the stock exchange. Over 26 trillion, has been put in just for the bank's recapitalization exercise alone. Now, what that points to us, what that tells us is that people are watching. A lot more people globally and locally are betting on this country, and we expect that to continue with the sort of reforms that we have put in place. The president will remain focused. The economic team will remain focused. The government will remain focused in ensuring that we translate all of this, as was said in the press release, into tangible items that Nigerians can finally begin to see and feel. And that means better schools, better infrastructure across roads, across healthcare, better export opportunities for agro products. If we're doing the SAPs, which are the special agro processing zones, we're building, farm access roads and everything. All these things come to.
Okay, I think we seem to have a bit of a challenge with the network. Ortega, if you can hear me, please continue. All right, it seems the network is not being nice tonight. We apologize for the hiccup. We thank Mr. Ortega Ogra in absentia for being here. Let's head on now to security matters. Amnesty International has called on the federal government to urgently investigate the widespread killings, enforced disappearances and other grave human rights violations in the southeast region of Nigeria. The organization made the call on Thursday during the launch of its new report, A Decade of Impunity, Attacks and Unlawful Killings in Southeast Nigeria. The director of Amnesty International Nigeria, Issa Sanusi, said that the organization documented widespread violence carried out by both state and non-state actors, including unlawful killings, torture, arbitrary arrest, and attacks by armed groups. All right, I understand we have Ortega Ogra back, the Senior Special Assistant on Digital Engagement to Mr. President. Ortega, if you can hear me, I want to quickly ask you about Peter Obi's comments. Like most Nigerians, he has criticized the president's claim of increased revenue, noting it must translate into tangible improvements for Nigerian citizens. He also said that many Nigerians have yet to feel the effects of the claimed economic stability. What's your reaction to Mr. Peter Obi's comment?
Whilst I welcome Mr. Obi's comments, at the same time, we don't need Mr. Obi's comments to be self-critical. I think if you look at the last paragraph of the statement Mr. Bayo Odumodublvck released, it was stated there that what we are focusing on now is to change or to move this into tangible results and tangible outcomes for the Nigerian people in terms of education, healthcare, infrastructure, and other things. So we really do not need Mr. Obi's comments to make us know what to do. However, it's right that numbers only matter if Nigerians feel the impact. That is why these revenues are significant, because they are now resources to fund all these areas, to fund new investments in the economy, to open up the economy more, to ensure that, people can begin to feel the impact of whatever it is we're doing. 2.1 trillion shared by FAC in the last, FAC sharing, that was in July. It's not a small thing. It simply means that some states now are getting 3x to 5x what they've ever gotten. It simply means more investments at the subnational level for them to use, to develop the people, and their communities. And the president has not minced words when it comes to what the subnationals ought to do. If you recall, at the last APC NEC meeting, the president told the governors clearly that they need to do more work at the grassroots. We are under no illusions that things are perfect, but one thing we know, one thing we are certain of, is that we are on the right path. We had people like Mr. Peter Obi and other opposition leaders blame this government for taking certain critical steps that Nigeria needed to take to ensure that we had a sustainable and prosperous future. But today, the numbers which they are now, complaining about are telling us the truth. The numbers are saying we did the right thing, we're on the right path, and we'll continue to be on the right path. 20.59 trillion mobilized from January to August 2025, 15.69 trillion from, non-oil, Customs is doing, 3.6 trillion, in H1, which is 930 billion. I'm sorry, 390 billion over targets. And all those things.
In the interest of time, Ortega, I have to interject and just take us back to the president's foreign trips. In his last outing, he made a couple of stopovers that were not part of the officially released itinerary. Should we be worried that same would happen this time around, especially if it's with the taxpayers' funds?
president is committed to putting Nigeria at the forefront of everything he's doing. He has continued to do that. He will continue to do that. I'm not sure you know what the distance between Japan and Brasilia is, but it was important that that trip was broken into two, meaning that they took the 11-hour flight from Brazil to another location, and then took that flight another 11 hours from that location to Brazil. So it's not something that, they should have flown 24 hours, the plane would have to refuel, and they took their opportunity to just rest for, I think, half a day or so before doing continuing their trip to Brazil. So yes, it's very important. The president will continue to be our chief diplomat, the diplomat-in-chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It will continue to put Nigeria and Nigerians' needs first, and we are sure that it will keep on focusing on the work it's doing so that Nigeria can have a sustainable and prosperous future.
All right, let's talk security. The Nigerian military, some would say, have recorded some successes lately. Just yesterday, Wednesday, we heard that 9 suspects of the Benue and Plateau attacks were arraigned. And today, at least 15 terrorists were bombarded. What is the president doing right with the military this time? And should we expect more of this in the coming days?
And I want to commend our men and women of the armed forces and all the security agencies. They have shown that, with unity of purpose, with clear direction and clear leadership from their commander-in-chief, they are willing to lay down their lives for Nigerians. And we're seeing that in everything they're doing currently. We're seeing that in the wins they're making on the field. We're seeing that in the better, collaboration, interagency collaboration under the office of the NSA. And again, I want to reiterate, this government has said it. We should no longer pay ransoms to those who are kidnapping, ransoms to those who are terrorizing Nigerians. The arm of the law will catch them, and there are special courts that have been set up to ensure that justice is brought swiftly whenever they are caught. I think anyone, and I want to use this opportunity to tell every terrorist out there, everyone who is making life difficult for any Nigerian anywhere in this country, the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is on the job. He has his eyes on the job, and he has given the marching orders to his security agencies, heads of security agencies, to go out there and make Nigeria proud, to go out there and curtail every incident of terrorism, every incident of insecurity across the country. Nigeria will succeed over people who want to bring this country down.
Ortega, we have to leave it there for now. Thank you very much for speaking with us. Still ahead, DR Congo declares 15 dead in another Ebola outbreak. We'll tell you about this and other stories when we come back. Just stay with us. Before staying with us, retired Nigerian soldiers obstructed the entrance to the Federal Ministry of Finance in Abuja, protesting the alleged delay in releasing funds to the Military Pensions Board, MPB, for the payment of their outstanding benefits. The pensioners said they resorted to the fresh protest after failure to honor earlier assurances that their benefits would be paid by August the 10th. The ex-servicemen had suspended a similar protest on August 4 following a meeting with officials of the Ministries of Defense and Finance, where they were promised that a backlog of payments will be cleared. The Nigerian Ministry of Education has announced a major review for the national curriculum expected to guide pupils and students from basic to secondary classes. The new framework is designed to reduce content overload, improve learning outcomes, and ensure Nigerian students are equipped with skills relevant to today's global demands. News Centre's Omolola Ololade has more in this report.
The recent announcement by the Federal Ministry of Education regarding a major review of the national curriculum for primary, junior and secondary schools is eliciting mixed reactions from students, parents and educators. Primary school students can now take a maximum of 13 subjects depending on the class, while junior secondary school students will take a maximum of 14 subjects and senior secondary school a maximum of 9 subjects as required by the West African Examination Council. Students are excited about the new curriculum as it helps reduce overload.
As a student, I am relieved because more subjects means more studying time and commitment. But with lesser subjects means I can focus on these new subjects that I have and have fantastic grades.
The curriculum unveiled recently introduces compulsory digital literacy and basic entrepreneurship at GSS level, while programming, artificial intelligence and new languages feature prominently at the SSS level. While educationists welcome the new curriculum, they believe implementation may be difficult owing to some of these challenges.
We have had many curriculum review. The problem always is the fact that there's no clear integration, and sometimes the quality of rigor that goes into it is not as deep as you expected. Between this curriculum and when it gets to the classroom, there are a minimum of 5 to 10 steps that we still need to do. School resumes in Nigeria in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We launch a curriculum today. There is no way any school will achieve those 5, 6, 7 steps before school starts in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Skills acquisition is it's the future. It's the future of work. However, are we truly prepared to have these hands-on skills for the students in our schools? Are these resources available for the teachers to use for the children? If the resources are not available, how then would it be implemented? Are these skills that are supposed to be hands-on, would they now be theories?
As Nigerians look forward to the 2025-2026 academic session, educationists urge the federal government to go beyond creating a new curriculum to provide necessary resources while monitoring schools across the country for smooth transition and proper implementation. In Lagos, for News Central, Omolola Ololade.
Let's go outside Nigeria, where health authorities in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, have confirmed a new outbreak of the Ebola virus in the central Kasai province, with 15 deaths reported since the end of August. Minister of Health Samuel Roger Kamba made the announcement during a press briefing in the capital, Kinshasa, revealing that a total of 28 suspected cases have been recorded so far. The first identified case was a 34-year-old pregnant woman who fell ill on August 20. This marks the first resurgence of Ebola in the DRC in 3 years. The country's last outbreak, which occurred in 2022, claimed 6 lives. And to one of our top stories tonight, Jamaican Prime Minister Andrew Holness has secured a 3rd term in office. This is according to the preliminary results from Jamaica's fractious parliamentary election, released earlier Thursday, which showed that Holness' Jamaica Labour Party won at least 34 seats in the previous day's vote. The governing party's main challenger, the People's National Party, secured 29 of the 63 seats in Parliament. That saw the opposition party's leader, Mark Golding, concede defeat in an election which was dominated by concerns over inequity and the economy, marred by allegations of corruption and low voter turnout. And to America, the Attorney General of Washington, D.C. has filed a legal challenge to U.S. President Donald Trump's deployment of National Guard troops to the country's capital. In a post on X on Thursday, Brian Schwab said the deployment is illegal without the consent of local authorities. He said it also violates a federal law that prevents the military from engaging in domestic policing. The Trump administration has given no clear timeline on when the deployment, which began in mid-August, will end. He had framed sending in the about 2,300 National Guard troops and an additional 1,871 federal law enforcement as part of a wider effort to crack down on crime and help beautify public spaces. Business, sports and entertainment comes up right after this short break. Stay with us.
You're welcome to Business Tonight. My name is Odumodublvck. The Intra-African Trade Fair has facilitated $120 billion in trade and investment deals across its first 3 editions. Chairman of the IATF Advisory Council, Olusegun Obasanjo, disclosed at the opening of the 2025 edition in Algiers, Algeria, organized by Afrexim Bank in partnership with the African Union Commission and AFCFTA Secretariat. The fair has grown steadily since its 2018 debut in Cairo, which generated $32 billion. Durban in 2021 recorded $42 billion, while the 2023 Cairo edition reached $43 billion. Obasanjo recalled a landmark $2.9 billion hydropower deal signed in 2018, stressing the fair's role in transforming African economies. Nigeria was confirmed as the next host, with Lagos set to welcome the 2027 edition. The federal government, through the Presidential Initiative on Compressed Natural Gas, has dismissed reports of subsidy removal and pump price hikes in CNG from 230 naira to 450 naira per standard cubic meter. In a statement, PICNG clarified that no directive or policy has been issued to alter prices, stressing that recent adjustments by some operators are private sector decisions, not government-backed. It reiterated its mandate to develop Nigeria's CNG mobility market as a cheaper, cleaner and sustainable alternative to petrol and diesel. The initiative noted nearly $1 billion in private investment had flown through into the sector, highlighting confidence in its growth potential. Lesotho's largest diamond mine, Letseng, has laid off 240 workers, about 20% of its workforce. As weak global demand and falling gem prices hit revenues, parent company Gem Diamonds announced the mine farmed for producing rare large stones such as the 910-carat Lesotho Legend revised its mine plan to cut costs after reporting a half-year loss of $11.7 million compared to a $2.1 million profit last year. Revenue plunged 42%, with average prices dropping 26% to $1,008 per carat. Diamond prices have fallen 35% since 2022, pressured by shifting consumer preferences and competition from lab-grown gems.
Ahead of the crucial 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers, Super Eagles stars Alex Iwobi and Ola Aina have sent a message to Nigerians urging them to continue supporting the Super Eagles as they seek to secure a ticket to next year's tournament. The Super Eagles are winless at home in 11 months and are currently 4th in Group C with 7 points, 6 adrift of leader South Africa. Nigeria must beat Rwanda on Saturday to revive qualification hopes before traveling to Bloemfontein for a clash with the Bafana Bafana on Tuesday.
We know it's a tough task ahead of us, but we're ready to, for the challenge, and we're looking forward to it. At the end of the day, it's another 2 games of football, and we're going to try our best, and we're looking forward to it. So keep believing and supporting us.
It will be to continue supporting us as players. We believe, so if you guys can believe in us as well and give us the energy that we need to go and get the result that we want to do to achieve to go to the World Cup. The mood's good, everyone's feeling good and optimistic, so we're excited to play our first game against Rwanda. Hopefully we can prepare well and, like I said, get the...
Meanwhile, the Free State Stadium in Bloemfontein has been cleared by FIFA and CAF to host the 2026 World Cup qualifier, including the clash against Nigeria on the 9th of September. There had been doubts over the venue following concerns about poor pitch conditions, but inspections confirmed it met required standards. Ghana endured a frustrating afternoon in Jamaica after conceding a dramatic late equalizer in their 1-1 draw against Chad in Thursday's 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier. The result hampers the Black Stars' efforts to seal early qualification for the global showpiece. The breakthrough came in the 17th minute when Jordan Ayew continued his fine scoring run with his 6th goal of the campaign, converting a cross after some great work from Mohamed Kudus. The Chadians fought back, and their persistence paid off in the 89th minute when young Afrikaans SC forward Ekwa Celestine produced a moment of brilliance. The draw leaves Ghana still leading Group I, but facing crucial fixtures ahead as the qualifiers edge toward their conclusion. Daniel Levy, who has served as the chairman of Tottenham Hotspurs for 25 years, has left his role with immediate effect. Under his stewardship, the club have regularly finished inside the top 4 of the Premier League and have enjoyed success in Europe, reaching the Champions League final and winning the Europa League. They also moved into the brand new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in 2019, now widely considered to be one of the best grounds in the world. He'll be replaced by Peter Charrington, who recently joined the board and will now take over as non-executive chairman, a newly created role. Spurs have also clarified that there will be no changes to the ownership structure. And that's all on Sports News tonight. I'm Okweoluwa Adibari. Entertainment is up next.
Kate has tonight's entertainment news. Hi, Kate.
Hi, Felicity. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
All right, so we're going to kick off with the story. It's about Nigerian music heavyweights Odumodublvck, Davido, and Seun Kuti, who are cooking up something big. And they've just teased a new track titled Grooving. Now, in a short video, the trio hangs out in what looks like a studio session, and Davido and Odumodublvck vibe to the beat, of course, pointing at the camera and laughing with the friends in the studio, while Seun Kuti flashes a signature smile, adding to the vibrant atmosphere. Now, the clip radiates pure chemistry, capped off with the words, "out soon." Now, judging by those vibes, that could be sooner than we think. Now, here's the question, Felicity. Do you think that older acts are collaborating with the new gens because they want to stay relevant, or is it the other way around? Because lately we've seen, these type of collaborations.
Yeah, I think it goes both ways. The young using the fame of the old using the fame of the young, and then the most important thing is they're making good music at the end of the day.
That's a very valid point. Thank you. All right, moving on now. This one is a rather sad one. Italian fashion legend Giorgio Armani has passed away at the age of 91. Renowned for redefining elegance with his minimalist tailoring, Armani began in window dressing before entering fashion in the 1960s. Now, over decades, it built a global empire spanning clothing, accessories, fragrances, interior design, sports, and of course, luxury hotels as well. He was born in the year 1934, and he became one of the most influential figures in style, shaping the way the world viewed Italian fashion. A statement on the brand's Instagram noted that it worked tirelessly until his final days, and Armani's death marks the end of an era, leaving an unmatched legacy of sophistication and innovation. But let's bring it home now. Big name, big brand, Felicity. But what lesson do you think our local brand can learn from the Giorgio Armani brand to be globally recognized?
Sticking with quality, class, making it, how is the word that they use? When it is rare, people want it. When it is everywhere, sometimes people like, oh, if I can get it. So, make it something that people want. I think that's where he sold
The
out.
originality is very, very important. Okay, well, that's it on Entertainment News tonight. Thank you for watching. My name is Kate Adiogun.
And that's the news tonight. But before we go, here's a reminder of our top stories. President Tinubu has embarked on a 10-day working vacation to France and the United States as part of his annual leave. Amnesty International has called on federal government to probe widespread killings and human rights violations in Nigeria's southeast. And we also told you that Jamaican Prime Minister has secured a third term in office after her Labour Party won at least 34 seats in parliamentary election. Do send us your eyewitness report to the number being displayed now on your screen. You can follow us on social media as well. To do that, we are at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. As always, thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.